This right here is the beauty of sports commentary. Because you could have a story that's been brewing for a few days, you could have a story that brews for a week or two, and then, just like that, things can change, things can get better, things can bounce back in a super positive way, only for y'all to get the complete opposite once again the next day. Things can change very quickly in sports commentary, which is why I wanted to present almost everything we have seen out of the Patrik Laine scratching situation and how exactly the Blue Jackets have handled his season. So, we did make a video a few days ago talking about how Patrik Laine was indeed healthy scratched as a member of the Columbus Blue Jackets. We had talked about the perspectives, we had talked about why Pascal Vincent did this, we had talked about what Patrik Laine's response was, and we just kind of said, hey, the Columbus Blue Jackets, after signing Johnny Gaudreau, after sending Kent Johnson down, after scratching a whole bunch of guys, and eventually getting Laine on that scratch train as well, this is a team that just does not seem to be running things properly. And we did make that conclusion in the last video wherein we discussed how the Blue Jackets are ruining Patrik Laine. But we do have ourselves a few more updates to go over. Some of them are alright, some of them are not alright. And it's kind of that dichotomy between, okay, what's actually happening here, and, oh, what we're being presented with is both good and bad, that makes this such an intriguing conversation to be having. So, just to go over the profile once more, Laine, 25 years old, big dude, power forward, sniper guy, 8.7 mil till the end of 2026. This season he has 4 points in 10 games played, on pace for probably the worst season he'll ever have in terms of total production. He's got 3 goals and 1 assist, on pace for 20 goals and 7 assists, so definitely not the same 40-goal guy that we saw with Patrik Laine back in the Winnipeg Jets, for example, and definitely not even the same point-per-game guy that the Blue Jackets have been accustomed to seeing over the past 2 seasons. Patrik Laine got scratched, and we had ourselves all the conversations about how he responded to that, and if you wanted to talk even more so about how he has pretty much rebounded from that, take a look at some of the other comments made here by Laine on his scratching versus Philadelphia. Over my career, that was probably the most embarrassing thing that's happened to me. I'm not happy about that. They know that. It is what it is. It's over and done. Here's some more comments. If your confidence isn't there, I don't think you're going to find it eating popcorn. Oh boy, that is a pretty big quote. Here's another one from the same, or from a different article, pretty much saying the same thing. Laine talks about his scratching, saying, if your confidence isn't there, I don't think you're going to find it eating popcorn watching the game. That's my opinion. I'm not stupid, but at the same time, if you want to get going, you have to be out there. I can't get confidence drinking BioSteel on the bench. I'm not crying about it because I'm not in a position where I can complain about anything with the way I've been playing, but that's how I see it. And that is a pretty strong comment from a guy who has generally been regarded as a pretty good quote. So when it comes to Laine and the response, there totally was like some backlash to how he felt regarding getting scratched, etc., etc. And this is where sports commentary gets a little bit interesting, because yesterday you had yourselves an absolute stomping that the Columbus Blue Jackets executed against the Chicago Blackhawks, and it culminates with a really great play where Adam Fantilli, I'm going to do this in slow motion because I can't play the clip, it's copyrighted material, Adam Fantilli does the beautiful spinorama backhander on the faceoff circle, throws it out in front, and it gets centered right on to Patrik Laine on the backhand. Beautiful goal there for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And when it comes to how Pascal Vincent responded to Patrik Laine, take a look at this. Did he like Laine's response, including a goal after being healthy scratch Sunday? Yeah, 100%. He was a good pro tonight. Played hard, made some of the right decisions with the puck. I really liked his game. So with all this good stuff being said, Laine getting pissed off about getting scratched, him coming back and scoring a beautiful goal off a Fantilli feed, and playing a pretty solid game against Chicago on top of that, what exactly is the new update that I'm making this video about that's so negative? Well, it's from the Jeff Marek show. I'm not gonna lie, I don't know if this version of the Jeff Marek show was from today or if it was from earlier, but Elliotte Friedman says to me it's obvious they're really unhappy with Patrik Laine's play. And Vincent, who knows Laine because he was with him in Winnipeg, it's clear to me that Vincent isn't happy that Laine doesn't understand why he was benched. Sports commentary is so weird. Because the night after, you have yourselves a really good showcase like this beautiful goal, and the coach straight up saying, yeah, he was a really good player. You have yourselves reports from the media saying, yep, this is the situation here. He is frustrated. And if I'm going to be honest, I think, just doing some research here, I'm pretty sure that the NHL Watcher quote of this Jeff Merrick show Elliotte Friedman thing was from today, because if you go over to Sportsnet, I mean, their latest episodes there are 2 versions of the show from today, and of course, I mean, they do everything live, right? So this is probably from the night after, so it's really intriguing to me how after such a good showcase, we can still have really negative updates in regards to Laine and his play. Pascal Vincent, knowing that Laine can be better than what he has been the past few games, is pretty indicative of where this situation is going. Because all of a sudden, this game, the one from yesterday against Chicago, this was a stepping stone. And I know it's going to be difficult to try to have a 7-1 victory over every team that you play against, especially if you're Columbus, but for Patrik Laine, this is what he needs. A game like this where he gets praised, a game like this where he starts scoring goals, and hopefully is able to use all this momentum to come back and form better habits heading into the next few games. Because the first, let's just say 7-8 games of the year for Laine, definitely not up to his standard. This was called out multiple times, and we acknowledge that because he was coming back from injury, because he was being forced to play at center, because everything wasn't really working out that way, it was kind of unfair for Pascal Vincent to go out there and just lay the hammer and scratch the guy. So for Laine to pretty much respond the way that he did, saying that I'm not gonna, get better as a center eating popcorn on the bench, that makes sense to me. We had talked about this in the other video. Why are the Blue Jackets continually scratching guys when the results of the scratchings aren't good? You're not winning any more games. These guys who are coming back are not necessarily getting too much better. For Patrik Laine, this might be the one situation where it does happen, but for Friedman to still go out there and say that, yeah, Pascal Vincent, he is disappointed with the way that Laine is playing. The Blue Jackets are really unhappy with Laine's play. I don't know about you, but it's kind of spelling trade request territory for me. Is anybody else getting those kinds of vibes? In fact, if you go over to the Columbus Blue Jackets subreddit, here's a poll made yesterday by Tony Perkis 100. Will Laine ever score 40 goals as a Blue Jacket? And of course, they're referring to the idea of Laine scoring 40 goals in one season. If you view the poll and you see what the results say, hey, guess what? The majority of Columbus Blue Jackets fans on the subreddit do not think that Laine is going to be a 40-goal scorer for this team. And some of the comments go out there and say similar things. Here's Tesloop with a comment, and I had to read it like that because that's their username. 40 goals? Yeah. 40 goals in a single season? Probably not. A lot of things need to fall back into place for him to regain the elite level of play he was drafted with. That being said, his point totals have shifted towards assists, and I believe he can reliably be a 60 to 70 point guy if he can play 70 plus games. There are some other comments saying, yeah, I'm not sure if he has another 30-goal season, let alone 40. I mean, if you take a look at the numbers here, he's on pace for 20 goals in this season's worth of play. He had 20 the past 2 seasons, albeit in a smaller sample size. So maybe he's a 30-goal guy, maybe he is a 20 to 25-goal guy with a bunch more assists. But even this season, I mean, he's only got 1 assist on the year, on pace for about 7 in total. Not necessarily the best numbers, but I mean, hopefully this response out of Patrik Laine from the Columbus-Chicago game is more of the norm, is more of what we're going to see, rather than the response saying that, hey, the Blue Jackets are still unhappy with Laine's play, Pascal Vincent's unhappy, he doesn't like that Laine doesn't understand why he was benched, etc., etc., etc. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. How do you feel about this weird Patrik Laine situation in Columbus? Do you think it's going to result in some sort of a trade? Do you think he's going to play his career out with the blue, red, and white? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.